Hey, what's up guys? It's Alejandro here, and today we're going to be talking about Windows 8.1 because it's dead now. RIP. So, I'm going to be talking about the history of Windows 8.1 and what the end of support really means. So, let's get straight to it. For those that don't know, Windows 8 was that version between 7 and 10. And it was not very well received. Matter of fact, it just did not perform well. Not a lot of people used it because at the time, it was made for tablets because, there was iPads and Android was getting into the tablet business, and then Microsoft wanted to get in there. But unfortunately, it was not very well received at all. A lot of people just did not like Windows 8 at all because, first of all, most people are using a desktop computer and Windows 7 is already popular enough as it is. So people will stick to Windows 7 because, it's more of their style. And at first, Windows 8 had its start button moved. I wouldn't say removed, they just moved it to the side. But people didn't like that. And what people really didn't like was that start menu. That's what really made people hate it. Nobody liked the tiles at all. It was too different, it was too complicated to use, so people just stuck with Windows 7 up until Windows 10 came out. And Microsoft even had the audacity to say that Windows 8 was good for PC users. I'm talking mouse and keyboard users. And I think we can all come together and disagree. I personally had to deal with Windows 8 on a laptop that I got for Christmas in 2013. And no, it was not a touchscreen laptop. I didn't really like Windows 8, but because I didn't know how to downgrade to Windows 7, I just stuck with it, and eventually I did get used to it. After all this negative feedback that Microsoft got, they came out with a new version, Windows 8.1, or should I say Windows 8 Service Pack 1. It fixed a lot of issues that Windows 8 had, but you still had that start menu that everyone hated. It wasn't that big, but it was still much better than what Microsoft had before that. But unfortunately, it still was not able to beat Windows 7. Most people are still sticking to Windows 7 despite this. What Microsoft should have done was have a setting to where you could change it from desktop mode to tablet mode. But they didn't do any of that. Some people would get third-party software to get that start menu back. And after doing that, Windows 8 felt like what it should have been. 2 years later, Microsoft released Windows 10, and it was a success. They finally learned how to attract all users, whether they were tablet users or desktop users. Windows 10 was perfect for everyone. The original start menu was back, and it had its own tablet mode. And in the beginning of 2018, Windows 10 finally surpassed Windows 7 in market share. And it still remains as the most popular Windows version to this day. But Windows 11 is slowly rising up and surpassed Windows 7 in August 2022 in market share. Windows 11 didn't exactly have a good start because of the lack of hardware compatibility and the fact that they were removing so many useful features for no apparent reason whatsoever. But it is starting to get better over time, and more people are actually switching to Windows 11. I think Microsoft had the Microsoft Surface laptop in mind when they designed this operating system. But they still kept the desktop feel. So, desktop users can also use this operating system. And for tablet users, Windows 11 was actually a pretty big improvement in terms of productivity and app compatibility. So like I said previously, Windows 8 is not anything new to me. I used to use it for a couple of years until we hooked up the HP Pavilion Slimline again and we started using that. That had Windows 7 on it. It was great to finally use Windows 7 again. Me and my brother had our own laptops, and judging by the pictures, you can tell that mine is in much worse condition. Both laptops have no hard drives, and I don't have the charger for it anymore, so I can't really use them. Back then, these laptops were actually pretty cool to have. In fact, I created my first YouTube channel on my laptop. I used my laptop webcam to make plush videos that never got uploaded. And there are even some videos where I was interacting with my elementary school friends. Yes, it was that long ago. Now I'm a college student. That's pretty crazy to think about. Our sister gave us these laptops with Minecraft installed, and that was a game that we would play all the time. I still play it to this day. I play it on Alejandro Live. Make sure to go subscribe to my live channel where I do weekly live streams, or at least try to. Before this, our dad gave us his old laptop and we shared that. It had Windows 7 on it and we were playing Minecraft on that. but now we had our own laptops to play Minecraft on. Moving to Windows 8 just felt way too different. We did get used to it, but I don't recall using any of the pre-installed apps. This was around the time when I knew nothing about technology. I was only 11 years old. What do you expect? So I actually got viruses on my laptop. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but it was pretty bad. That was the only time I've ever gotten a virus on a computer. And I'm guessing I tried to download something from a shady website, and 11-year-old me just wouldn't be able to see through that. Of course, ever since then, I became more skeptical about certain websites, and I always tippy-toed around them to make sure they weren't viruses. Since my computer got much slower, I would use my brother's laptop for a little while. I used it to mostly edit videos, and eventually over time, that got slower. When I was editing a Warzone video, Windows Movie Maker crashed, and I had to start all over again. So I stopped using it ever since that moment, and I think I moved back to the Slimline at that time. And that was the last time I've ever used Windows 8.1 in 3 years. But the next time I used Windows 8 was under a virtual machine, and this was around the time when I was playing around with virtual machine. I was using VirtualBox, and I was using Windows XP, Windows Vista, and Windows 7. For some reason, I felt like trying out Windows 8.1 because I had a lot of memories with it. It was an operating system I used during my childhood, part of it, and to be honest, going back at it really didn't feel that special at all. When I had it in a VirtualBox, I made it look like Windows 7, so I guess you can say that I fixed Windows 8.1. It wasn't a slow operating system, but nobody liked it because of its forced tablet interface. Other than that, it's just Windows 7 with a much more simplistic user interface. And in fact, the system requirements are exactly the same. End of support means no new security updates, no new software updates, and no technical support. Microsoft will no longer make updates for Windows 7 and 8.1, which means that they will be vulnerable to viruses and malware. Remember when Windows 7 had its support ended? Well, it was actually eligible for the Extended Security Update service. That's why whenever you would install a program, you would see that the compatible operating systems will be Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and why Microsoft made Microsoft Edge available to Windows 7, 8, and 8.1. Windows 7 was still being used by a lot of people. I was still using Windows 7 up until February 2021 when I upgraded to Windows 10. And this was when I only had a hard drive from a 12-year-old computer. It was very slow. You're pretty much forced to get a solid state drive nowadays. Nowadays, I only use a hard drive to store photos and videos. The programs that you use every day will slowly become incompatible with the operating systems. So you won't be able to use Windows 7 or 8.1 as a daily driver anymore. Problem is, the computers that were around at that time, you're not going to be able to upgrade to Windows 11. You might be able to upgrade to Windows 10, but not 11. You're gonna have to get a whole new computer for that. So yeah, Windows 10 might be your best option, but they only have like 2 years of support left. So if you want Windows 11, yeah, you have to get new hardware. Every Windows computer, brand new, comes with Windows 11 pre-installed. If you install Windows 11 on incompatible hardware, you won't get any security updates. So if you can, upgrade to Windows 10. Most schools and businesses still use Windows 10, and it's still very capable. So what do you guys think about Windows 8.1? Are you gonna miss it? Or are you gonna piss on its grave? Make sure to leave some comments down below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and goodbye.